Hi everyone, we are happy to have you here. In today's talk, Stefan will speak about large language models. Please note that this talk is recorded. I think that's already on. Stefan, please take it away.
Okay, great. Then thanks, and hello everyone. I'm very happy to see so many faces here. It's a full room. Wow, I'm flattered. And well, let me first start with telling you why you should actually pay attention to what I have to say about this. Because yeah, we're talking about large language models today, and whether they are a revolution or just the next hype of the tech industry of Silicon Valley that we basically are used to pretty much. Well, I do research on artificial intelligence in space, so I know generative models. I have been working with them. I've been training them myself, and yeah, I'm also teaching this science. Well, where I basically teach math, but I'm also but I'm using AI to improve the teachings that I'm doing there. And well, yeah, I'm a user of ChatGPT basically for a year now, and yeah, I've been following all the development that we. And so that's why you might want to listen to what I have to say things. Let me first start. Of course, I have used AI to prepare this talk, but the output is not just pure. Everything has been arranged and checked by hand. I've been using AI to brainstorm. I've been using it to do research and to generate images. Maybe we can play a little fun. You give me a little cough every time that you see a generated image, and we can try that right away with the first question that I talk about. What is AI actually? And well, the most awesome answer that they always like to give to this, AI is a lost without any map, without a direction, without knowing where they are, and they only have one target. They want to get home. So let me explain why I think that this is a very good explanation for AI. Well, in general, when we talk about AI in science, we mean that this is a very big umbrella term for basically anything that we teach computer that usually would require human intelligence. Then out of that, we have a subpart, which is machine learning, where we gave the computer some tools to learn the structures by himself. And we don't need to explicitly code what he should do, but he can learn it somehow by himself. Then another part of that is deep learning, where basically we use neural networks, so very big models in order to do that, and they can learn a lot of things, basically look at images and tell us what is in there, for example. And then part of this is large language models, where basically the computer learns to use natural language and to talk to us in the way that we do. Now, computer learns to solve tasks. So basically, I think images is a very good thing to understand this. So basically, we can give the AI, we can teach it to give it an image, and it tells us what is in there. It can even tell us where it is located, if there are several objects in there, and it can even cut out the cute cats that we have in our images, so we can produce a myriad of cute cat pictures with our cat from around the world. So this behavior is trained because we have labeled data or some example data where it knows where we train the model on. So basically, we have an image of a dog, and we say it should be dog. And then when it says dog, we say, hey, you did that's fine. Here's something for you. But then if it should be a cat, and he says it's bird, then oh no, that was bad. Don't do that again. And by that, the model over time learns to do what we want it to do, but to omit what we don't want it to do. So basically what this is, that we have some kind of input, and we want to have the prediction of the model represented by the line to represent the data represented by those dots. So basically, we want to minimize the length of all the combined red lines that we have here. And if we draw this combined length here, then basically what we do is, what the model does is to change the parameters that define this line to go down this valley into the valley of the smallest error. So it basically seeks to reduce some kind of error that we define for it. So if we now look at deep learning, then basically this machine is a neural network. So now, what is a neural network? It's basically a very complicated net of rather simple calculations. So at each of these single dots that we arrange in layers, where the last layer gives us the output and the previous layers tries to figure out what are the features that are interesting to determine whether we want to give this answer or that answer, to determine whether it's a cat or a dog. And basically at each of these dots, we have a rather simple linear regression going on, where we have the inputs of the previous layer that are then just weighted with a factor, and all the model does is to adjust these weighting factors just that the output matches the input. This is all the AI always does. And of course, here we have a lot of parameters, not only a single one. And so this search for the LA of the smallest error becomes a search for that in a super multiple dimensional space, a space of billions of parameters nowadays. Wow, how do you get your way along there? That's another story that we don't want to talk about today. But with that, I hope you understand that basically every time we're talking about an AI, we're talking about a lost group of wanderers that do not know where they are or whether they have arrived at the correct place. You should always keep that in mind. Still, that doesn't mean these AIs are useless, but they are actually pretty useful. But let's first talk about what are large language models. Well, I think it's well explained by the name GPT, which stands for Generative Pre-trained Model, a transformer. And it generates new text by transforming input text exactly as it has been trained previously. That's what it does. So basically, it's your auto-completion that you have on your phones, but on serious steroids. So how does it learn things? Well, basically, we have a sentence that should be completed, and then we give this sentence to GPT and ask what is the continuation of that. And if it gives the wrong answer, we punish it. If it gives the right answer, we say it's okay. So by that, it learns to give us the right continuation. But then we have a full text, and we split this. We basically start with the first four words or so, and then word by word, the machine tries to complete the sentence. And by that, it learns that if we give it some quest or some input, then it transforms this request into an answer. And that's what makes it quite a powerful tool, because it mimics what humans would answer to your request. But basically, it's a very sophisticated mechanical parrot. It's better than a standard parrot because it just does not just repeat what you say, but it knows exactly what you expect to be the answer. So LLMs, they are trained on, they give us pretty smart answers because they have been trained on the works of Albert Einstein and other very smart guys. But at the same time, they've been trained on the Twitter of Trump. So you should always keep that in mind, that this is the range of quality that you get from the answers of any large language model. So that makes them the perfect bullshitters, because they want to sound smart, but they actually do not care for, whether there's any truth in what they're saying. And why is GPT so good? Well, basically, the main reason is because it has been trained on a vast amount of training data, 45 gigabytes of text, or an equivalent of 70,000 books. I think the whole room here will never read, in the whole life, will never read that many books. And he has not just read them once, but repeatedly until he knows them by heart. Well, of course, if you want to have something copied one by one, there will be mistakes in there. But can you remember a book that you've been reading 3 years ago? The next thing is the transformer architecture, which is a very ingenious idea, because it, on one, can handle data sequences. So because the order of the words in a sentence is very important, but it also uses attention to learn the relation of these words. And these are basically the ground things that you need in order to understand syntax and grammatics, and thus in order to understand language. And this enables the models to actually learn a lot about our language. Now, why is GPT-4 better than GPT-3? Well, it had 10 times more training data, it has a 10 times bigger architecture, and it has a more than 10 times bigger context window. But so the bigger the better. But this is not the only thing. Maybe you've noticed if you started a year ago to use it, that the capabilities were pretty different than the capabilities are nowadays. And this is not because the model has been trained further, but because they've changed the mixture of experts. What is the mixture of experts? Well, basically, if you talk to GPT or any chatbot, you think you're talking to the model directly. But that's not actually the case. You're talking to a whole group of experts, to a whole group of personas. So you have several GPT models, basically 3 models, for example, try to give you an answer. And then there's a whole team of other GPT models that are tasked to verify whether this is ethical correct, whether there is the facts are correct, whether this goes with the code of conduct. And then this team chooses the best answer, which is then provided to you in the text, in your text box. And this all happens within these few moments until you see the first words happening there. And even then it's going on. Quite astonishingly, while these this mixture of MS experts is improved constantly, and quite astonishingly, they've been improving mostly the ethics. And you could see that at the same time, math capabilities were going down quite a lot. I don't want to imply that you need to have bad ethics in order to do good math, but I still find this connection rather intriguing. So let's have a look at the evolution of large language models. Well, in 2017, basically, we have the paper "Attention is All You Need," which then made available this very great architecture. And shortly after that, you can see there are more and more models coming with the time. And you can actually see that the size of these models does increase by factor 10 every year. Now, that's a crazy Moore's law. But what about the cost of these things? If they grow so big so fast, how are we ever going to supply the power for that? Well, training of GPT took 8 gigawatt hours, or 700 years of running a US household. That's quite a lot. I mean, it took 3 months of training and produced the same amount of CO2 that if you drive around the world 20 times. That's quite a lot. But this is for the training. You usually invest that once, or maybe twice or thrice. But then the cost per request are astonishingly small. I mean, one request is the equivalent of 15 Googles. And if this does not include opening the website, but just doing the Google search. And so if I think about some things where I just ask GPT, it gives me an answer right away. It might have taken me more than 50 searches and opening that. But it's also the equivalent of heating one cup of tea. That's quite overseeable. What makes it so huge is the huge number of requests that are done there. So still, we are looking for a lot of energy that is going in there. But and actually, it is quite hard to come up with any of these numbers. I don't want to claim that these are absolutely accurate. But in an interview with Bill Gates, Sam Altman has claimed that within 1 year of running GPT, they could reduce the cost of running that by a factor 40. And there are a lot of things, new chips and things coming on that will reduce these costs further. And so actually, the reducing costs is running faster than the increase of the models. Yeah, so what have I used GPT for? Well, basically my working day has been revolutionized because this is how I usually work now. I do whatever, and on the other side, on the other screen, I have GPT opens, which helps me in basically any task that I'm working on. And you just need to use it in the correct way. I've been using it to brainstorm ideas, prepare talks and lectures. It definitely enhanced the study material. Please tell me if you think that this is not correct. It's helped me coding. I was doing it for reference research, including academic research. And yeah, just doing actual research, finding out new things. It helped me with that. I did produce videos using GPT, and the list goes on and on. And basically, to put everything together, GPT is the system that I've been waiting for since the beginning of my studies. I was studying physics, and every day, basically, I came into the thing that, oh my God, there was this formula. It had this and that thing in there. I don't know the context. I don't know the name. I don't know anything about that. Can you please tell me what that formula is? GPT can. And that can really speed up your studies. So you can make very good use of that. And basically, there is not only my experience, but there's actually science out there. Here, they've been doing a survey on people that are using GitHub's Copilot, so an AI that is, or a large language model that is built for coding. And what they see is over the board, AI enhances productivity, satisfaction, and efficiency. And basically, it can simplify and improve our work lives. So more than half of the people reported this, and they all agreed on that. However, you should read that story further, because in the same, they've been giving a programming task to 100 people. Half of them did it with Copilot, the other did it without Copilot. And what you can see is that it is about the same people, the same amount of people that successfully fulfill the task. So GPT does not enable you to do anything that you are not able to do without GPT. However, look the line below. Those that finish successfully did that in half the time. Now that is where GPT comes in. It does not enhance your success, but it greatly enhances your speed. So this is how I've been using it and how coders are using this, but you can also find banks are using it for customer service, summarizing, write code, assisting, and even the EU Parliament is buying AI to do translations. If the EU Parliament is moving their ass on something, you know something is going on. And so that's why I was having my my newsfeed on, and basically I cannot open my newsfeed without having a load of AI news every day. And thanks to this talk, it has been gotten even worse. But I do that with pleasure. And of course, the most asked question is, will AI take my job? Actually, Forbes says that 27% of jobs are at high risk, meaning could be replaced completely. There is even a robot telling you whether a robot will take a job. So I find that hilarious, and keep that in mind. Computer programmers make it to the top of the list. Actually, you can even hear these are the jobs that AI can't replace. So the question is not, will AI replace my job, but which are the jobs that AI won't replace? Gosh, this is going to be a revolution. Or is this just a very big high? AI will not take a job. Someone using AI will. Who said that? Well, bunch of people. Jack Ma, head of NVIDIA, Satya Nadella, head of Microsoft, Elon Musk, who was that again, Andrew Ng, so one of the foremost teachers of data science, and the list goes on and on. So the people that know the stuff, they know that AI won't act autonomously, but we need somebody to tell them what to do. So before you say they took our jobs, you should think about who is taking your jobs. It's these guys in the back, the young guys that are eager to play with this and try to see what it can do. And yes, I've been creating this with DALL-E 3 with a single prompt, and I didn't even try to make these characters. That's quite concerning. But what I find quite hilarious is that of these four, they got Cartman wrong in that way. For those of you who don't know, Cartman is a racist. So how am I going to keep up with that? LLMs are 24/7 software engineers, and yeah, quite. I think it's one day after GPT came out, people started to ask, "Am I relevant as a programmer now that AI is there?" And well, pick that real like last year. I think that should be enough now, but I think the message is clear. There is a robot doing your job, completely doing every part of your job. I mean, he's not doing it perfect, and but yeah, this is only one robot. Now think of a whole bunch of robots. Actually, people tried that at the end of last year. They've been tasking a whole group of large language models to run as a tech company, and they built a software in 7 minutes for less than $1. How am I going to compete with that? Well, on YouTube, you can find videos that tell you how to build a super expensive website with all kind of crazy features, and you only have to invest 50 minutes to learn that, and no programming language required. How am I gonna keep up with that? Well, programmers are going to be obsolete. After this, everything is absolutely clear. Or are they? Actually, a new GitHub Copilot finds that already we can find code quality is deteriorating. And you can see that by the amount of churned code that is submitted onto GitHub, which has almost doubled since GitHub is providing a lot of code for us, for the programmers. And the bottom line is that using Copilot is strongly correlated with mistake code being pushed to the repo. Churned code. This is code that you push to the repo, which is completely rewritten or replaced within 2 weeks. So basically, this is code that did not do the work that it should have been doing. And so this is skyrocketing right now. And right now, not every programmer is using Copilot. Or actually, it would be very interesting to see how many do that. So will AI take your job? Maybe not just yet. Having a look at computer vision things, we can see that only 1.6% of worker wages can be replaced, and only for a good quarter of them, it is economically reasonable to do that. That is the state right now. But this tells us software developer is not, it may be dead, but the software developer is not dead. Long live the software developer. And I think the future just looks a bit different than it does today. I don't think in the near future, I don't think we need to learn any language, any programming language anymore. But the LLM will have designed its own, which far exceeds the capabilities of that we can do today. This is not going to be done by a GPT-4. No, we are not there yet. But we can see that this will be happening, and it's actually the natural transition, the natural evolution of what programming languages do. The very first programming languages were very hard to understand and very abstract, and by the time they've becoming more and more like natural language, and this might just be the final step to have the programming languages be natural language. So in the future, I think we will just code work on pseudocode assisted with the LLM. And once we have set up the algorithm there, it will choose the perfect or the best fitting programming language to translate this in. And basically, the job of the compiler will start at the pseudocode, so to say. So with that, the required skills will be abstraction, problem solving, logics, adaptability, and system and algorithm design. Because the big problem of AI is it doesn't have a purpose. It doesn't know what to do. It needs somebody to tell it what to do. So be that someone. Be that somebody that uses AI to take away somebody else's job. And maybe give him a new job with the money that you make. That would be great. So how to actually code with AI, and I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with this meme, where before AI, we had 2 hours of coding and 6 hours of debugging. That was okay, but with GPT, now it generates the code in 5 minutes, but it takes us a whole day to debug that. That's not a net win. That's actually tripling our time that we need to invest. However, I think this meme is missing a very important part. You can also collaborate with AI, reducing the amount of time that you require by half. So you can develop the code in 1 hour and only have to spend 3 hours of debugging. And actually, the work makes much more fun than before. Now, why do we see the actual down pressure in code quality? Well, I think this study shows it quite nicely. A couple leaks showed that GPT content, GPT 3.5, 60% is plagiarized. And this is for the metrics that they could find. Basically, the bottom line is no GPT output is original. And so if you just take code that is existing, swirl it around and hope that something good will come out of that, we can see, no, that's not a good idea. But instead, you should co-work with that thing. However, that doesn't mean GPT output is not original. Have you seen the new piece of George Carlin, or heard it? There's no video with that. It's super amazing. He talks about the pandemic. He talks about AI and how large language models are changing the world. And this guy has been dead for 10 years. And the piece is hilarious. It's like the full hour of really George Carlin type of comedy, and it's really great. I laughed my ass off. And you can feel it's missing the soul of him. It's not the original, but you can be fooled easily. But that's not the only thing that you can find on the internet nowadays. If you look at Amazon, okay, Amazon is not a thing in Switzerland. Why was it again? Right, you have a working legal system. Crazy idea. But let me tell you a story from the outside world. Well, nowadays on Amazon, you can find products that apologize, but they cannot complete the task because it is against OpenAI policy. But you can get 3 meters of that for $23. Isn't that great? This is not a single example, but you can actually find a lot of these things. And experts say that 90% of online content will be generated by AI by next year. That's troubling. That's really troubling, because Sabine has put it quite excellently. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And large language models, they somewhere need to find the data that they are trained on. Where to find all this text? Of course, you do that in the internet. But if all of the text in the internet is created by large language models, well, we've actually done research on that. If you take a large language model, the output of that to train a large language model, use that to train a large language model, you basically get a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and that deteriorates super fast. So we might just witness the birth of AI, and next year is the end of AI because we don't have any more data to train that. That's why I very strongly ask you, if you put AI-generated text on the internet, label it as such, so that we can see, no, we don't want to train on that. Please, otherwise this dream might be over long before it has been on. But this is not the only thing that can go wrong. Maybe you've heard about the DPD chatbot who started to swear about DPD. Oh, everyone rejoiced when DPD was finally shut down, and they were happy when they could finally talk to a real person who knew what they were doing, not to the chatbot who was writing these lines. That goes quite bad. So if you don't know how to handle these robots, drive carefully. But this is not only for firms that deliver packages, but also for firms that deliver people. I mean, have you heard of the Canada chatbot, Canada Airline, Air Canada? That was it. Basically, somebody was chatting with the chatbot, and the chatbot said, "Oh yeah, okay, you can get a refund on that." I don't know what it was again, but then he told that to the company. They said, "No, we don't have such a policy." Well, then he said, "Okay," but the chatbot said so. And then he goes to the judge, and then the judge says, "Well, okay, your chatbot said so, please pay." So be careful when you have a chatbot. He might be putting you into some serious trouble. So you might think that this is the reason why the AI revolution in industry is moving at a rather slow speed. I mean, 10% of organizations have successfully launched some generative AI solutions. Given that last year was the beginning of the age of AI, I think that's already quite a lot. But you could think that people are just worried about things. But actually, almost 9 in 10 people responded that they needed more to improve their skills. That's why you can see machine learning engineers are very highly in demand in the near future. This will also go for computer science students, I hope. Maybe you should focus a bit on machine learning. This is not doing some advertisement for our I40S courses, but yes, come to us. We have cookies. So, because the improvement of AI is quite clear. I mean, this is what AI could generate in video a year ago. This is the video that you can see now, and I mean, look at the amazing quality. Well, actually, that's the real Will Smith playing a huge part on the internet, and I love it because he gets a lot of the things that AI is getting wrong, and he's getting it absolutely right. Like, this is just so awesome. But yeah, this was just a part. Let's have a look at what AI can actually produce videos nowadays. So 3 weeks ago, Sora was presented by OpenAI. Basically, you start with this small kind of text input, and what comes out is this kind of great video. Isn't that amazing? Wait for the next. Here we are looking at a few retriever puppies. Gosh, look at the amazing detail. I mean, when the eye moves here, you can see it is somehow generated. But gosh, aren't they cute? Maybe let's have a look at the next example. Yes. Doesn't that look amazing?
That's right.
I mean, again, when the bird moves his head, you can see it's something is going wrong. But even if you see something that is completely out of place. Your question for a moment, what? I mean, to animate this, how long would this have taken? That is maybe the very big thing here. But yeah, this is maybe the last example. Look at the astonishing detail of all the physics that are gotten right in the water here. Basically, nowadays, if you if you generate a video of somebody eating a burger, the missing piece that he has bitten out of the burger will be there. So it will be missing from the burger. So AI seems to understand quite a bit of our world. It can actually get our images to life. I mean, she even talks, but I don't know, but this is not the astonishing thing here, but that the facial expressions and everything, they very look super convincing. And so if you see this, you do not wonder that when you hear about a finance worker paying out 25 million to his fake CFO, who has been using a deep fake via Zoom, and yeah, he didn't recognize that he's not talking to a real person here. So this things can become quite dangerous, but this is AI. Let's talk about large language models. Half a year ago, people have published work where they have been giving ChatGPT an IQ test, basically asking it every single question one by one and evaluating the answer. And it got a score of 83. This is below average, but still people were quite alive. Okay, this thing can already take away a lot of jobs. So what's the state of art today? They did the same thing with GPT-4, and it's on par with Einstein. Crazy. This thing is now smarter than me. I mean, okay, it does not have the scope of Einstein because it only has been looking at single quizzes and gave the correct answer as you would expect Einstein would have given, at the rate that Einstein would have given. But this improvement, it doesn't have the scope. So basically, GPT-4 cannot come up with a general relativity theory or something like that. So we are not there yet, of course, but this was a 10 times increase in smartness in just 6 months. Where are we going to be in 1 year when GPT-5 is going to come out, which is already basically ready? But there is a quote of some OpenAI employee who says, we're not yet putting it out there. We're putting it step by step in order to prepare people for what is about to come. So what is the future of mankind? You can already see now that the dependence on AI causes us to lose skills. And this is not just, I don't know what the Sina Daily is, but I like the headline, but there's an actual science out there. It's not a Nature paper, but humanism and social sciences is part of Nature. And yeah, you can see that they have been investigating impact of AI on human loss in decision-making, laziness, and safety in education, human gain and laziness maybe, and they've been doing this in Pakistan and China. And what they found is that 70% of laziness in humans nowadays is due to the impact of AI. I don't know whether this means that we are now 4 times lazier than before, but definitely this is concerning because human laziness is the most affected area due to AI. So maybe the future will look something like this, cyberpunk Schlaraffenland, where basically we don't need to do any work anymore, but we are not capable of doing any work anymore because AI is taking away all of it from us and we are losing all our skills. It won't be that bad, will it? Well, thing is, we will inevitably lose some skills, but do the benefits outweigh the risk? I mean, we had the same discussion when pocket calculators were invented. And yeah, for me, I cannot do in my head that great of calculations. My students know. And well, I teach math. So it goes ahead. We don't need to have this skill anymore because the machine has been taking that away. AI is going to take a lot more away from us. But then again, take a step before, the steam engine was taking away a lot of things that we had to do, a lot of things that we're very happy we do not need to do anymore. And I think the revolution that is coming from AI will, so the revolution of the steam engine will pale in comparison to what the revolution of AI will bring to us. Because let's have a look at what AI is already bringing us. DeepMind from Google AI has discovered 2.2 million new materials for basically any kind of technology that you can think of. Over 1,000 have now been synthesized in the lab and are investigated, and several dozen of them show very promising and will likely revolutionize their fields, one on their own. So we have several revolutions going on at the same time, starting from this one point. AI can now read our minds and write text that you're thinking of. it does so with an accuracy of 50%. Okay, so you might think it's flipping a coin. Well, no, it means that if you think of something and then I can repeat what you're thinking and 50% of the words are correct. That's amazing. And it can do that without actually entering the brain, but just with brainwave that can be measured with a rather simple device, which just costs a few $100. All this costs energy, but AI just solved a very big puzzle that we have in nuclear fusion, which actually it took away 20 years of the timescale that most experts give to the point that we can use fusion energy. And think of the big feedback loop that this means. I mean, if we have near limitless clean energy, how much more AI can we run with that? And that's just the start of the feedback loop. So I don't know where this is going, but it's going somewhere pretty strange. We can already see like a ton of applications of AI in energy storage. One of the most promising is, I guess, in renewable energy, where this peaks can be shaved, and basically the AI makes it possible to have 100% renewable energies, despite of all the problems that we have in that energy field. So with all of these achievements, you really don't. Sorry, that slide again. These are the benefits that we have of AI in the energy storage. So basically the benefits are all over the field. We can produce more energy with reduced emissions, with reduced costs. We have safer environment, and even the customers are more happy with what we can talk to them about. And so with all of these things, you really do not wonder that GPT made it to the list of the top researchers of the year, because so many researchers have been using it as an assistant and have been put it as in the author list. Just to be honest, which I find a very good idea, and yeah, that's why it made it to the top list of the researchers. I'm very amazed for what will be next year, or this year actually. And well, GPT OpenAI actually tested whether GPT will help in designing bioweapons, and they found it will only help a little bit. So you can rest assured we're still on the safe roads. So these are the achievements of AI. What is now the pivotal role of large language models in that? Well, you have all these kind of very difficult machines specialized on I don't know what. Somebody needs to have an overview. Somebody needs to know when to use which of these. And the large language models are this universal user interface. We only have this one interface to talk with all of our machines. So basically, this is how the future will look like. We just have this one machine, and it will control all the devices in our home. Yes, Google Dot was doing the same promise, but this time it will actually work. Well, did I say all devices? Maybe not all of them. But yeah, let's have another look at what the future does bring us. I hope this sound is good enough. Isn't that great? In the very near future, because this is the presentation of this year, these robots, so we have robots that you can buy for less than $3,000. And if they are run by large language models, you actually have a talking and reason machine that you can talk to, that you can ask, hey, why did you do that? Why did you not do that? Why did you do this wrong? And it can actually give you an answer. Isn't that great? It can clarify questions. I mean, you can actually ask it, if I would tell you to do this, what would you do? And then you can decide whether this is actually what you wanted to do or not, and give some feedback on that. You can explain this completely new task that it has never done before, and you don't need to show it, but only need to explain, and it can reason and then control all of the different body parts in order to apply with what you ever tasked it. And this all comes with the ability to personalize this. The robot might talk to you in the voice of your deceased wife, or I don't know, your favorite cartoon character. So no wonder if you see these 24/7 workers that don't require nourishment, that do just as they are told, you're worried, will AI take my workplace? Sure. Sure, there are a lot of workplaces that AI is going to take. Not at the fast speed that it was hyped to be, because every time we've been basically doing 3 steps forward and then taking 1 step back. Okay, it seemed to be the holy grail of whatever thing. Nah, it's not that great, but still it is revolutionizing the field, but it just doesn't come up to the hype. But in order to stay up, to stay relevant in that, the main competencies or the main skills that you need is creativity, innovation, leadership and mentorship, collective intelligence, because the machine works on its own. We can work together. We can collectively think about something and make out something. And we can connect dots which are not at all related. And this is what makes us special and what will likely not be replaced in the near future. Hopefully. So if you do all that, you should, of course, you should do an AI with it to do that, because this just makes it twice as efficient. But if you do that, you should do that responsibly. Collaborate with the AI. Don't just let it do your work. Iterate with it, because the first answer is never the correct one. You should decide when and for what you use AI, so that we know whether something is AI generated or not. And especially if something is purely AI generated, label it as such. Otherwise, all the game is over before it even starts. And of course, don't overuse AI so you don't lose your skills. And with that, I think I can leave you with the conclusions. AI is a revolution in the making. We are just witnessing the beginning of that. And there was a very big hype. It did not come up to that hype, not yet. But it will exceed that hype, all the expectations in the very near future. So I'm not giving any financial advice, but after doing the research for this talk, I definitely updated my portfolio. So yeah, if you want to have more into-depth information of how AI is working, I have a video here. If you're a lecturer, you can actually do self-teaching course, and you can even call yourself AI didactics after that. So we are doing that from the Didactics Center. So we are very happy to assist you with getting to know AI and to work with AI in order to improve your lectures. And yeah, I think that should be all from my side. I will be very happy to answer any of the questions. So everyone is just astonished, huh? Please, Andy.
So, thanks very much. Very optimistic talk. You didn't speak so much about maybe other gaps that it creates, but I will not come into the details. I have just one thing that I wonder your opinion on the operating systems and the computers themselves. For me, it's kind of funny that you have all these things, but actually my computer still works like it worked 10 years ago. It still does the same main thing. It still doesn't understand I have to connect to my Wi-Fi. So what's your view on this? Will there be also a revolution in the operating systems and the computers themselves?
That's a very good question. At first, let's comment on all the things I've been missing. I mean, I've been just showing you the tip of the iceberg, the very merely tip of the iceberg. I could have given a talk at the same time about the biases that are in the models. I could have given a talk of the same length about all the legal implications of that, of the ethical implications of that, and I just chose to go to that because this is basically my view. I wanted to share this with you. The other question: how do I think will your computer change very soon? Well, for you as a data scientist, probably not that soon, not that much, not that soon, because you like to see your code, because you like to have a look at the data, and you actually need to do that for quite a long while before we can fully automate this, so to say. However, I think you can already see that there is the first smartphone has been put on the market, which has no touchscreen. You cannot interact with that in any other way than talking to it and asking it what it should do for you. So this is basically where I think that things are heading pretty soon, that most of the people who are not like the geeks that want to see the computer code, they will just talk to the devices, and the devices will not have a screen, but a friendly face. So this, I think this will happen. A very big transition of this will happen this year, because robotics will really explode this year. So you can already see this happening here. I hope this answered your question, yes. Please answer.
I don't know if there's others, but so how does the efforts to recognize what is artificial going?
Well,
How do we know you are real?
well, basically, if we talk about output of large language models, it's basically impossible, because that was when we still had GPT 3.5, and then the best models that OpenAI could come up with, they've been spending a lot of resources on that. They were more likely to take Shakespeare's work and mark them as AI, as something that was actually generated by AI. So there are some improvements. So, for example, one rather promising thing was where they have been training the model on only on chemistry papers, and so then they were feeding it AI-generated chemistry papers, and there it had a rather nice accuracy on recognizing these. However, they did not report the recall. So I don't know how well it is, actually this was for GPT 3.5. GPT-4 is much harder to detect. GPT-5 will we even be able to understand what it's telling us, so it will be much beyond what most of us are able to create. So
you don't see the solution for fake detection in the technology, rather on the regulations, or like how we are looking into the future, right? So I think there was even an I4GS project about detecting fake. So there's some technical. There will be efforts about technical from the technical side, but you don't see that to be very promising, but more rather on the law and the regulation that it has to be labeled or declared.
I think both approaches should be going. I think it's you can take the allegory of computer viruses. I mean, always we are trying to solve the computer virus, but then before you solve that one, the next computer virus will come up, which then can seconds. So you're always trying to improve on the actual countermeasures, and you're always trying to improve on the regulatory measures. But how these are, how both of these are approached correctly, I don't know.
Okay,
yeah, sure, please.
Thank you for your talk, Stefan.
Thanks.
I wonder if you can provide a couple of examples of how you use LLMs in your teaching, and how you teach your students to be responsible LLM users.
So how I use this in teaching, definitely will find a lot of these things here. These are basically, this is a 14 hours self-learning course. I could give you now a list of things. So basically it's the same as before. I've been writing new script with that. I've been using it, and that is one of the best things to do. I've been writing example solutions with that, because this usually takes a lot of work, and with AI you can provide very lengthy and very detailed solutions with much less effort. So I think this is one of the most important things. But I think the main part of your question is how to teach students the correct usage of AI. Well, tomorrow I have another trial of doing that. I'm not there at the final answer. I mean, best things I can recommend is to do it eye in eye. Tell your students that this is new to me too. I don't know how to work with that. Let's find out together, basically. Be open with the errors that you encounter, because yeah, it is an iterative process. 7 in 10 answers will be faulty. Actually, 10 in 10 answers will have some faulty in there. So teach them to be recognizable on that. Teach them that they should not be replaced by the AI, but they should learn to responsibly use it to enhance their skills and instead of replacing them. How you do that, well, that depends on your particular studies. Maybe one very interesting thing, and I'm not going to do that tomorrow, but one interesting approach is that you have one task which you have tested cannot be solved by AI. Then you give it out to groups of people. The one is doing it without AI, just solving it the classical way. The next is doing it only with AI. So they they just do prompt engineering and try to get the correct answer out of GPT or whatever chatbot. And then the third ones, they try to collaborate with AI. So they use their own brains together with AI. And then afterwards, you compare these things and try to play the game. Can you identify which of these have been produced in which mode? This gives a very nice insight in what AI can provide, where it hinders, and what is the good usage of that.
Maybe could we build a whole another talk or more? But like just like briefly, what is your view of the moral side of things of using copyrighted stuff for training that as training data?
So when you study, do you use copyright stuff to learn?
Yes.
So what you produce out of that, being inspired by this copyright safe material, is that your own or is that copyright material?
Depends how much. But like, if I use copyright material to learn and use my own stuff, I exactly know what the material was, whether it's close to it or not. But with AI, I have no idea.
So let me tell you, as a musician, that many times I've written a new song. Oh my God, this seems like a good song, and then the day after, I know this song. I've been hearing that for half my life. So it seemed like something that I would think was something original, but actually was a copy. And I think it's AIs nowadays are not that far away from that. They do not actually have a saved in there. So here I have the PNG that I just have to come up with, and then I give the exact copy. But they are just dreaming of things that I've seen before. And so yeah, there it comes up. So basically, the question is, even if you create a new image of yourself, if it's the image of Mickey Mouse, then you can be sued by that, even if you have drawn it yourself just by memory without even copying it. So it really depends on how close is what you have generated to whatever data is in there. And by chance, if you have never seen Mickey Mouse, you might draw Mickey Mouse and be copyright suited. So you have a problem if you generate something and don't know whether there's in the myriads of pictures that that the AI was trained on, whether it is somewhere in there. So that's a very big problem, and I can't give you a final answer. I think that I don't think that excluding copyrighted material out of the training is the correct answer, but it should be, because a lot of the very great stuff is copyright material. And on the other hand, of course, these copyrights should be served. And there, basically, my answer is AI is not the actor, AI is the tool. So use the tool responsibly. Basically, it's just a super sophisticated new kind of pencil, but it is a pencil. So it is not the AI that should be sued, but the user. That doesn't answer the part. Yeah, I answered the part of the training. Yes, I definitely am for putting copyright materials in the training. Yes. Go on.
What are your views on AI replacing social interaction?
Oh, actually, I have quite a good view on that, because it will get us away from screens and be more talkative to the robots, and so we are back in the mode of really doing the talks. However, there is the downside of that, where we might get into an artificial world of only artificial beings that we talk with without ever talking to real beings before. But the only thing that differs from before, because you can do MMORPGs, or you can do an RPG on your own way, there are no other players in there, and you can lose yourself in there. The only thing that changes is that it becomes much more realistic. That makes it more problematic and more easy to fall into. But yeah, that is kind of my view on that. I don't think it will be a fundamental change in our social interaction.
You don't? Sorry, I will challenge that. I think people will form attachments with virtual beings and robots, and that's going to change something. No?
That's already happening. I mean, studies out of half of the people love their iPhone. Yeah, true. When you look at your iPhone, what happens in your brains? It is the same as if you look at your loved one. So really, people love their smartphones. So I think we're already there.
Some hate them too.
Some hate them because they love them. Please.
This is more technical question. So you showed the example of the right?
Mhm.
And as far as I've understood, is like the main purpose or like the main development they propose, the reasoning of solving a problem from start to finish, right? But then when I checked some sources, probably missed some, I also saw that reasoning is not that far yet in the research, and I want to say, have your opinion on how far are we there and how far can we go?
Reasoning is a very delicate question because it depends on how you use your AI. If you just ask it a question, you will not find any reasoning. If you ask it, please think step by step, then you will find a lot more reasoning in there. Then if you have a whole group of chatbots put together into a team that should reason with each other, or even if you just take the one chatbot and tell him, hey, you are 3 different personas, please make a discussion and reason with one another, you get much more out of that. Then if you increase the mixture of experts to even do that, you will get much more out of that. And you still have the same ground model that is doing that. So that's why giving an answer on reasoning is very hard part. It is very hard even to say how much reasoning is in there, because what is reasoning? How do you identify reasoning? There we come down to the Turing test, and then we have a very big problem with that mechanical parrot. He knows what is the answer that is expected to give him. Does this mean that he actually had the reasoning behind that to give that answer, or does he just mimic that? So with this very sophisticated mechanical parrot, it becomes very hard to tell whether he really did reason, or whether it just looked exactly as we would expect an answer from somebody who did that reasoning. So, I don't want to give an answer.
So the way to go is probably just having this table of experts powered by AI, talk to each other, and then try to find the most optimal solution to the problem. Like the way GPT Power now is, like this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that basically the mixture of experts is what happens on the LLM level. You don't see that mixture of experts. You only get the answer out of that. It would be great if you could ask questions on how the mixture of experts have come to a decision, and in OpenAI they are actually able to do that. Yeah, we just don't have the access to that. But yeah.
We run out of time. One more question.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That's right. Very problematic that these models are run by privately owned companies.
Mhm.
Are there any plans from governments to have like public models?
Elon Musk, just yesterday, I was struggling with whether I should put it in here, but I think it was already filled by a lot. But just yesterday, Elon Musk, or the X company that he owns, has released the first very big open source mixture of expert models with that has a size of 300 billion parameters. So it won't run on your laptop, and so that is a very big problem, that we need a data center to run those, and these data centers cost a lot of money. And usually to get money rolling in from the government, that takes a lot of time. So I'm not aware that anything is planned, but I'm quite sure that because people in the governments, as far as I can read it out of the news, seem to be pretty aware that there's something going on, that they need to act. They just don't have a clue how to really do that, because they are not data scientists. Hey, thanks a lot.
Okay.